Hello, my name is Tina Parrish. This is Tina Parrish Coaching, and this class is called Functional Movement, and this is Traveler's Exercise Advanced video. So I do have a beginner and an intermediate, and this is advanced. So I want you to prepare by having a nice sturdy chair without sides, and then you can use a band and or you can use hand weights. And then for today's class, because it's advanced, I actually have brought in a suitcase that happens to be packed because I'm going somewhere for real. So you don't have to have a suitcase on some of these moves, but it is good practice. Also, stacking pillows and getting a larger object can help at times. So again, with this class and most functional movement classes, is the first half is definitely length training. We need to do that for the muscles. They need to be properly eccentrically stretched along with the joint to the best of its ability. And then you're really primed up for the second half of the class, which is a lot of strengthening done in circuits. So let's go ahead and get started. I want us to start with these traditional 3 exercises, travelers exercises that we've been doing for the month in almost all these videos. Because I want to give you a takeaway, something you really remember from here. If you've done a lot of sitting, because you've been in an airplane or in a car, or even if you've done a lot of walking and the hips are hurting. So here come our 3 exercises. First one is knee close to the armpit. These can be done upon waking, and if your lumbar is pretty stiff, you're not going to get that much of a range due to that stretch, and that's okay. We check on these towards the end and we see how much limber you've got at the end of class. Breathe in, breathe out. And then we go into a little nerve flossing. So nerves aren't stretched, they're flossed. As you can see, I extended that knee, right? I brought my knee up to my armpit as close as possible and then extended it and then began with that flexion. So nerves are flossed. They're designed to go over the top of the muscles, the white part, the fascia. And we are flossing the sciatic nerve here. So the sciatic nerve runs over the deep outward rotators. This leads us to our next exercise, which is that figure 4, because those deep outward rotators start to come out in the hip. And one of them is piriformis, and right, the sciatic nerve kind of runs through the piriformis. So we want to stretch that. So if you feel that knee is up, it typically means that those muscles in there are pretty tight. This is when I want you to kind of wait out, watch the knee manually start to drop. Feel yourself settle into the chair without feeling like you're shifting to one side. It can take a little time, so let's do some neck rolls. So we're just going to turn the head side to side. I invite you to acknowledge or bring in any sighs or deeper breathing. Get a chance to do a little bit of vagal toning, which is just rest and relax nervous system. We have 2 branches there. And typically we're in the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn a lot, very reactive. And this is us just kind of going into the soothing part and working on realigning the C1, C2 to get better flow of these nerves coming in. So let's go into salamander stretch here. Remember, we're just kind of waiting out, seeing how the hips are feeling in this minute 30. And we're tilting the ear towards the shoulder. And noticing if any other movement starts to happen, like in the shoulders, because you're feeling like your neck is stiff, just honor what the range is. It's just a time for opening up. It's a time for deep breathing and stretching in the hip. Great. Okay, let's come out of that. We'll go to the other side. And of course, we'll come back to the neck and do some more exercises. Knee close to the same armpit. It is the lumbar that you're stretching here. And then we're going to go for a little nerve flossing. And then we're going to stretch those hip muscles, those shorter hip horizontal muscles, and then get to the neck at the same time. And so we'll bring the chin down and up. Remember, as you're bringing the head and chin up, loosen your jaw, loosen your tongue. These exercises seem so simple. Our brain sort of tells us to be patient about it at time, but that's just it. We need to kind of recognize when our brain is talking to us that way, because we deserve this rest and relaxation time. We're gonna tap. We're gonna go right above the eyebrows with 2 fingers and tap some acupuncture points. We're just looking for releasing. Right, these 12 cranial nerves, they have to do with optics. They have to do with facial expressions. We're gonna go right below the nose. They have to do with increasing smell. Chewing, tasting, swallowing, heart and stomach, important stuff. Hearing, all this can be affected if we're living too much in the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So we want to try these different methods, these unconventional methods to sort of open up and get into relaxation. Manually massage the masseter, the strongest muscle in the body, that's in your jaw. Loosen. Notice today if you're unnecessarily clenching that jaw and overly using that muscle. That's some Fielding craze philosophy right there. So come down and the sternocleidomastoid into the neck muscles as you feel your hip continue to drop. And then let's go into a little bit of toning. How do you want your voice to sound today? When you feel that reactivity, can you come back? Notice if your tone is in a tone you don't want it to be in. Hand over the heart, hand over the stomach, just take some deep breaths. See if you can notice and listen to these organs today. They send messages to the brain. It's not the other way around. They send us messages to the organ, to the brain to tell us what we need to know. Excellent, and come out of that, great. And let's go wide, not too wide, and we'll stretch up the hips and back a little bit, just coming forward. And feel that opening up. Great, we're gonna add on to the neck. So as you come forward and you're feeling that stretch, can you go into a neck roll? And that's just turning the head side to side. And then come back up. And we'll see if we can go to salamander stretch as you come forward. You open the hips, you feel the lumbar, salamander stretch, same ear to same shoulder. And switch opposite side. And come back up. It's important to notice these sides, these releasing. And open the C1, the C2 in the neck. Start to feel a lot better. Start to feel a lot calmer. Start to feel a lot more here and now as to what we're doing. And so we're going to look up and look down on the next one. Excellent. One more round of that. Let's roll the shoulders back. So we're going to see if we can open the chest a little bit as we come forward and we do those 3 neck exercises. So I'm just going to come behind. You can go ahead and grab elbows, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to try not to go too much into a C curve. Like I'm stretching out my stomach. I'm actually going to bring that in a little bit and tilt the tailbone forward a bit. Come forward and into the neck roll. And back that up. Great. So we're stretching out the chest. We're not getting too much compression in the lumbar. Again, come forward just a little bit, tighten up into the belly button, pull into the belly button, lean forward, and then into the salamander. Ear to the shoulder. A little bit more challenging. Come back up. Actually, we have our last one, right? So we're going to be looking up and then looking down. Right, there's those sighs that come in. Beautiful, back up. Okay, into the chair a little bit more without using the back. Let's go to a nice even move here. Some easy core work. Core is braced in this move. You can feel it a little bit more if you're willing to put your arms out. right? We're not gonna go to it, we wanna stay stable in the chair. But you feel your core go, it's a simple activation by just bringing your arms out in front. Spreading the wings of your blades without rounding out the center of your back. Okay, we're going to a contraction of the center of the back. So just grab the object, reach in, squeeze. We're not looking for that C curve, right? So again, you can draw the belly button in a little bit more. And then same move before, just squeezing. So you should feel contracting between the blades now. I'm gonna go to shin box. Now you can hit repeat on this. You're like, I really like that. I like that challenge. Keeping things symmetrical. I'm gonna go into shin box. Just going wide and then just simply pivoting, not twisting, just pivoting. It doesn't take much to feel that back hip open. Come up opposite side, right? Doesn't take much to feel that opening. Come back to center. Again, arms and legs are just extension of the core, they just make it a little bit harder. So what would happen? You extend it out without rounding out the center of your back and then did a shin box. You just feel a little bit more activation in the center. And opposite side. Great. And arms on the shoulder, nice little circles here. Just go wide, work on a little open flexion of the hips. That's an important element in our travelers exercises is if the back is hurting and if you've been traveling a lot or even walking a lot, try standing with open hips or sitting with open hips. What's good for the hips is going to be good for the back. And reverse direction. Great, got some nice flexion, right? Flexion is mobility without adding too much strength. So not doing it while we're standing up or doing it without the band. But we want to add that, right? We want to increase the mobility. So come out of the chair and go ahead and grab a band. So again, we're going to go from that flexion. You didn't have resistance into mobility. Okay, now I have resistance. So see what the shoulders can do. Come all the way up. So the goal is to come all the way up and over with nice strong elbows without them bowing. And if they are bowing, if they are bending, what's so easy about the band is you just kind of drop off a couple of ounces and you make it easier for the pull just by sliding your hand a little bit. Standing wide, that's our theme. Been walking a lot or sitting a lot. Let's get the legs farther apart from one another. Goal is to work on coming all the way over. Don't force it until you're ready. There's lots of going on in terms of stability and definitely lengthening, muscles going eccentric and working with the joints. Good. All right, you're behind. Keep the band behind or pull it behind where you're at. Roll your shoulders back. Make sure you're not feeling any unnecessary contraction or tightening or C curve in this area. You feel good about it. There's going to be a lot of contracting happening behind because there's going to be a lot of opening happening in front of the body. So going wide, and then we're going to lift coming back. It's okay to squeeze your glutes. That's going to be another theme as we get into the strengthening. Standing wide and or squeezing your glutes at times. Squeezing your butt helps open up your hip flexors, and your hip flexors, they get tight during traveling, walking a lot, and or you're sitting a lot. So you get short and tight in those two moves or actions. Good. Hold that back. Great, and release. Nice simple exercise to help with posture. Gets you to stand up a little bit taller. You start stretching the chest, which is typically tight, especially in traveling maneuvers, right? Sitting, even walking, chest starts to roll forward. Okay, so from that flexion, right, we're sitting in the chair, legs are nice and wide. We're gonna up it to mobility. We want that flexion paired with strength. So we're gonna stand up for this. So see if you can get into that move. You were into the chair. There's a wide stance. Knees coming over the second and third toe. If you follow that, you'll know where your feet need to point, and it's different for everybody. So you don't necessarily have to have the feet pointing forward. You just work on your knees over your second and third toe, and then you'll find where your feet need to be housed. You can use the chair. It can be a lot of weight, and so you take some of the weight off by coming forward as you come down. And notice there's no C curve back there. That would be too much compression for my back. So I want to make sure I'm drawing my belly button in. Okay, we're going to test out each knee. So we're going to go side to side here, making sure the knee goes over the second and third toe. You should be feeling a stretch in the inner leg and the abductor on the side that you are not bending. You can work on width if you think, yeah, I could get a little bit farther apart, and then work on that width. I'm going to stretch those tight adductors. And come to side. I've got you in two planes, two directions. I have you definitely coming to the side, that's one. But also as you bend the knee, you're also coming forward. This is where it gets tricky, and this is where it gets harder. And I'm going to add that third plane, that third movement. So coming to the side, you're also coming forward. I want you to rotate. So you're in that third plane right there. So whatever leg that I have out, say I have my right, I'm going to rotate the right. It's my left, I'm going to rotate to the left. Come up opposite side. Feel yourself go in those two planes, and then feel yourself add the third. Good. The idea is to open up the hips. So if we try some different yoga moves, I'm just going to say warrior legs. Warrior legs are great because they start to open up the hips. So this is my position that I'm in this wide stance. To go into some warrior legs, just for the sake of opening the hips, I'm going to pivot one foot out. So these feet are intersecting now. So the back of my ankle is intersecting in the back and center of my foot. Now what would happen if I leaned into that? And how would my hips feel? Would they feel they were opening up? Could I squeeze my glutes? Knee over the second and third toe. And then come back. See, this is what yoga is good for, these moves. Pivot the foot in and go to the opposite side. Knee over the second and third toe. How can I squeeze the glutes? How can I roll or move the hips a bit until the hips open up, those deep outward rotators, horizontal muscles, stretching a bit. And come up to center. Good, bring the feet in just a little bit. So let's do a little bit of pelvic movement. So there's some building praise happening. So we're gonna do a clock. The clock is small. We're gonna draw a clock with the 12 in front and the 6 behind. You got 9 and 3 on the sides. So if I wanted to tilt my tailbone towards center, towards 12, go ahead and squeeze your butt, and it just tilts forward a little bit. Just a little bit, right? Sometimes we want to accentuate these moves. We're like, well, I need to kind of get more of like my body in there. And we're just looking for the pelvis and what happens when it's squeezed. It's also helpful to think of the pelvis as a bucket of water, very full to the rim. And I just want you to spill a little bit out the back when you're doing this. So just a little bit of the squeeze and release. So that's the easiest one, usually coming to the 12, doing a squeeze. Gets a little bit harder to come to the 6 because now you're asking to compress the lumbar. So you should be really careful as you start to dump water at the front. So remember, you're shortening here and you're lengthening here. And release. Take your time. So notice when I'm not moving, I'm really not trying to move my knees. I'm really not trying to move my shoulder. Again, that pelvic clock that you're drawing towards the 6 and the 12 is very short distance. It's a very small clock. Excellent. Okay, I want to go to the 9 and the 3. So that's going to mean shifting side to side. I don't want to over accentuate the shifting. I want to feel my full feet when I come over to the 9 or the 3. And go right out to the other side. So see how big that clock isn't? It's pretty small. And then come center, and we're going to do circular moves to see if we can get all the way around the numbers. Really focusing on the 12, the 6, the 9, and the 3, and just kind of shuffling through the other ones. So I'm going to squeeze to go to the 12, work my way around, feel the 9, my way back, feel the 6, over to the 3, and then to the 12. And let's reverse it. Back to the 3, behind is the 6, then the 9, and then the 12, and release. Subtle moves there. Final stretch here. Downward facing dog. A great posterior stretch. Walk yourself back, find tabletop. Walk yourself back a little bit more. And start to stretch. Shoulders, back, glutes, hams, and calves. Spinal roll up, that's where you're hitting some cow or cat, going into tabletop, dropping into cow a bit. A little bit of spinal rolls, and then I'm gonna go back to those neck moves. So as soon as you get into tabletop or whatever you're comfortable with up here, you can go even all the way up to upward facing dog or partial of it or plank, wherever you're at. You're going back into those neck exercises. Neck roll, so that's turning side to side. Salamander stretch, that's same ear to same shoulder. And then we're going to look up and look down. Excellent, back that off. And you made it through the lengthening process of this. So now we're going to go into the strengthening. Grab some water. Have your band nearby, have your weights nearby, have your suitcase or your pillows if you're going to get into that today. Okay, so first set, easy set, just to kind of explain, like, we want to look for these moves today. What we want to look for is how much can we go wide? Give the hips some release, give them a break. How much can we go wide today in a sustainable stance? How much can we squeeze today? So let's bring that in to the glutes. And then how much can we rotate today as we go through that? We're looking to stay wide. We're looking to use the glutes, and we're looking for these opportunities to rotate, feeling it a lot in the thoracic region. That's the center of the back. Just gonna go through those movements today. I might forget to call them out, so you gotta remember. Could I squeeze my glutes in this move? Could I stand a little bit wider? Is there a rotation? Can I find that rotation today? There you go, first set, easy, okay, as we progress through the strength training circuit. Second set, so find your resistance. I'm gonna go with a band today, and you can use hand weights, that's fine. We're gonna go into a squat. Squat's gonna progress to a curl, and then we're gonna switch up to do the bent over row, and then watch for the rotation, right? Watch for the rotation in these moves. So, gonna go try and go wide, right? That's the theme, a little bit wider than usual. I'm gonna go for the squat or a Wuchi knee in Tai Chi. That's backing off from the squat. That's just saying I'm gonna soften a little bit. Knees are gonna come over the second and third toe. This is what I have today. You might have more in a squat. And if your knees are bothering you altogether, it's perfectly acceptable to go into a Romanian deadlift. We're using the back more. So find where you're good in the lower body. Right? You got the glute squeeze, it's there. Wide stance, glute squeeze. I'm gonna start progressing this. Total body means core. I'm gonna start adding a curl. You can hold the contraction. of the biceps, or you can even mimic picking something up or taking something down to the floor. Look for your glute opportunities. Okay, want to add that third theme. So I'm going to want to rotate. Little goes a long way. Stabilize. You're still going to need to feel those glutes. You're really going to need to feel those feet come into the floor. Because you just honor that range. It's limited there. It's okay. It's body telling you this is what you can do in this. Great, I want to switch up that arm movement. So we use our biceps when we pick things up, and oftentimes we use the center of our back. We probably should do that more when we do that kind of bent over row move. So going back to the leg movement, whatever you're using today, and picking up that object, bringing it close to the core, using the center of the back. Still have the glutes, you're still in a wide stance. Feeling it out in different ways. All right, we got to add that theme of rotation. So we're going to do a rotation row. So that means I'm just going to really kind of pull up on one side on that row, and I'm going to rotate a bit. Maybe come up and squeeze the glutes, and go to the other side. Got my leg movement, got my row movement, got my rotation, might come up on a rotation. Or even go down on a rotation. You're just mixing these planes. You're knowing I'm going into two or three different planes at once. That rotation plane being a tricky plane. Always feeling your glutes. It's really going to help you stay center in these weird movements. Feeling your whole feet on the floor. Front view. Just trying it out in different ways. But not feeling off center, right? You know you're off center because the band starts to kind of get loose. So feel your full feet on there. Excellent. Come out of that. So I have a bonus move, right? This is the advance. So this is where you can kind of take a little break or do something a little bit different. But this is advanced, so I'm going to have that bonus move. I'm going to take the suitcase, and I'm going to work on that squat and that lift, which is a move called thruster. So I'm going to take my object, suitcase or maybe a pillow, or even just weights. Weights work too. And I'm going to work on that thruster move where I lift. You can come all the way up, whatever you're comfortable with. And just notice, like, keep those elbows close to the side. We don't want to get into the habit of using the rotator cuff muscles too much, right? And we come out too much, we're using them in ways we don't need to. We want them to just stabilize our larger muscles, like our deltoids and our biceps and even our back muscles. So we want to keep the elbows relatively close and use our big muscles in this move. You're going to see the thruster again. It's just not it. I'm inserting it a couple times in advance. Okay, on to the next move. So we're going into a lunge. Things are going to become a little bit more unsteady. Band's going to go overhead. If you have weights, it can be one weight anchored as you move the other arm, or you can have a lighter weight in one arm. That makes sense, right? A 4 pound and like a 2 pound, because we're going to be doing the same kind of thing with the band, feeling the weight in different ways. Doesn't matter, right, left, forward, whatever works for you. Staggered stance, remember that you're not trying to balance, you're actually going wide. We're looking for the wide stance today. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Where are you going to be good at in this move? With a soft little Wu Chi name? Or do you have the ability to use both legs evenly in a lunge? Or do you think you're more of a single leg split squat, stay away from that back knee and use the front of the leg when doing a move? We're progressing through all of them. All right, we got the lower secured. So we're gonna go for the upper. So go ahead and anchor, doesn't matter, just choose. One's gonna anchor, can anchor up, you can anchor in front, whatever you're comfortable with. Other arm pulls. Pulls behind, it pulls to the side. With an arm in front or overhead, always anchors. It's strong. Feeling the glute, right? Okay, we got the wide stance, check. Can I feel the glute? Can you feel the butt a little bit more? At what moments are you feeling it? At what moments are you using it? And then we're gonna get into that rotation. As you're anchoring, as maybe you're pulling and rotating. I'm gonna try both ways, rotating. Doing it all here. Excellent, change your anchor, not your leg, change your anchor. Feel it out here a little bit. Notice anything different if you're going overhead before and that felt good and it doesn't feel now, that's okay, just anchor out in front and pull with the other arm. And then so you can add rotation here. Keep your anchor. You're over the second and third toe. Don't want to lose that. Things get a little weird. So move our object. And then come out of it. So complex, a lot of stuff going on at once. Putting it all together. I'm switching sides, switching legs. It's gonna be a completely different story when you move legs. So progress through. Yeah, I'm okay. These are my moves. So I know that my knee works for me, how I know my knee doesn't work for me. And then anchor. We'll do both sides, so it doesn't matter which one you chose. And then you begin your rotation, right? Just take your time. Where's my leg move that I chose? Where's my anchor and pull? And where's my rotation? Exact same way you need to be when you know I got a heavy lift of the suitcase or this bag or this box. I kind of need to really be present in my body and understand what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Somatics, my new favorite word. It's just awareness of your body and what your body's doing, that you are present, you are there. All right, switch anchors. Okay, you're gonna do a big move here, right? You're gonna add so many planes, your asymmetrical balance, all this stuff. So then it brings apply that somatics. What am I doing and how am I doing it? So I'm gonna go into rotation now. What's anchoring, what's holding up, what's pulling. Core. If I've got you moving total body, I'm saying words like balance, I've got you working core through all of that. Come out of that. Breathe in, breathe out. We're going back to that overhead move. This time, you're in a split squat, staggered stance, lunge, whatever you want to call it, with the suitcase, with the pillows, or whatever you feel that you want to practice with going overhead. This is a little bit harder. You're in a split squat situation now. Right, use what you have. What's it going to be? Is it going to be that front leg? Is it going to be a lunge to get the object up? Glutes still there? What are you okay with? Just be aware as you progress through. Elbows close to the body. Biceps and shoulders. Okay, we got to save something so we can do the other side. Switching feet. Might feel a lot different. Lots of different ways that we do this. One of the hardest is when you're low and you're overhead, as you just did. It's one of the hardest. Glutes, still feel them? All right, let them take on some of this weight. Use them. Excellent, come out of it with ease. Pivoting. Beautiful job. Side lunge. Bands our weight. I'm going with the bands. So we felt the weight become asymmetrical, off-centered in that last move, anchoring and pulling. I'm going to feel it in a different way. So going wide. I'm wanting to see how it feels here with the lower body as you do the single leg lunge. Side lunge. Definitely in two planes, right? You're coming out, it's known as a frontal, it should be called the side plane, but whatever. Coming out to the side, but also that knee's coming forward and you're feeling yourself hinge, like lean a little bit forward as you do that naturally. You don't have to force it, it just kind of does that hinge. So you're getting into two planes. And so we're gonna add the shoulders. We're gonna go shoulder shapers, a little bit easier first to keep the elbow pretty much hinged at the side. And work the biceps a little bit. I want you to feel some blade squeezing between the blades as you do this. Okay, we're wide. I don't want to forget about that glute. And where can you squeeze it? But we also want to add, is there rotation here? Glutes, wide, rotation. Simple, subtle, hitting all three of these planes. When you do that, you always got to be real careful. Okay, I'm going to come out more. It uses the core a lot more. Wide stance, glutes. You have a second and third toe. So here comes that call. Do I have rotation at all in here? In various ways. Get creative. And come up. Excellent, come out of that other side. You're gonna go out there in the world today and I'm not gonna know how you're gonna move. You are, right? You're gonna get in many planes, many tricky areas. So you just break it down for yourself as you're moving. Where am I going? How am I doing it? Am I here when I'm doing it? Am I present? Switch spans, opposite side. If you have the weights, you're just coming low with it. Just let the weights come down naturally. The band, I'm gonna get this pulled to the side. The weights are just gonna come down naturally, right, with working on gravity. Glutes there. Okay, so let's go with the shoulder shaper, keeping the elbow close to the side. Feeling the glutes. Got the width. Okay, we got to add that rotation. However you have it, you just got that mobility. It's, I'm aware of it. It's right there. This is why these yoga warrior moves are so good, because they have you kind of combining the back with the hip and really getting the flexion and flexibility in the core area, really getting length training. Yoga is length training. Okay, I'm gonna come out in various ways. Lots more core. And then I want to add that rotation, that third plane. I want to be really careful as I do it. Squeezing the glutes, haven't lost that, haven't lost the width, and adding the rotation. Feeling a lot of Pilates, which was last month's theme. Our arms, look at the arms, look at the legs. They are just extension. We're just using them in different ways for the core. Come out of that. Breathe in, breathe out. We're going to go for one more overhead, right? And so for this one, we'll be going on the side lunge and lift. We're real careful with that of how we're going to use this asymmetrical action, especially in the back area. You're like, well, that's not for me. I wouldn't do that. Then go with what you would go, right? A nice asymmetrical move, even hips, even wide is even better. Okay. Got my object. Going over to the side. And then going to the lift up on it. Hardest one overhead with that as you push through it. Find out what works for you. Elbows are not coming out. You're really trying to access your shoulders and your biceps when you lift. Gotta save something for the other side. Yeah, hold your high. And come out of it. Nice strengthening there. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, we want to get a little bit more flexible with the core and with the spine. So grab weights, grab band, whatever works for you. We're gonna come out in a side bend. This is a move I want you to be really careful. When you have something overhead and you're going bilateral, one side of the body is all contracting and the other is lengthening, okay? This wouldn't be my go-to move to push something up above, but you know, sometimes we get in this position where we're turning. And so it's good to practice our flexibility. Why don't we start without even resistance and just go into flexion and just be like, well, what's it like when I do this move? And I start adding on. What is my body okay with? What's it not okay with? When does it get hard? Remember, it gets hard when the arms are up above. You start to really notice like, oh, arms are an extension of the core. They're just objects that are making it harder for my core. Taking your time, come up. Feeling it out on the other side. Going to deflection, and then you're going into mobility. Mobility is flexion and strength. You're gonna be adding resistance. It's important to feel your full feet on the floor. Be aware of that. See if you're gripping with the toes or anything like that. Spreading your full feet out. Okay, so with the weights or with the band, back up a little bit here. Weights, it's its own natural resistance. You can take 1, 2, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm gonna pull the band. That's how I'm gonna get my resistance there with the band. I'm gonna go up overhead. And then I'm gonna do that side bend. Pulling. Elbows should not be bending or bowing. Nice and strong. You wanna lock those elbows in. And so you're coming from the shoulders more. Triceps and biceps, which are eccentric, they're stretched out. It's hard for a muscle to work that way. Okay, great. It's just nice and lengthened. So a couple more progressions on this. Keep the band, keep your weights. So I'm gonna go with what's called this shoveling exercise. It's really just about getting to side and coming out with the object. So I'm not gonna bend, I'm gonna pivot. See if you can use your glutes, right? There's a glute moment there, squeezing on the opposite side. Going with a wide stance, I wanna keep that theme going. If you don't have knees, you're not gonna be bending right now, that's okay. Or if your knees are hurting. And you can bend, and you can go to start to pivot into rotation. Pulling the band. We're working up for the big finale with the suitcase. Don't have to go there. That's the progression. That's the advanced traveler's exercise. Okay, I've got that low. Okay, so I want something that's going to go high. So in the weight room, we call this the discus. So you're going to keep what you were just doing, only going to go up high with it. So we're hitting one side. Are you wide? Can you use your glutes? And are you adding any twisting or rotation there? One more, then let's switch. Let's go opposite side. Okay. Wide glutes rotation. Remember that. If you are going to increase the size of your object, even just by width or by weight. All right, I'm gonna go there. You're gonna go there with me. I wanna do those last two moves, right? The shoveling and the discus. I wanna take the object on one side, it can be on the chair. I wanna take it to the other side, it can be on the floor, whatever you're comfortable with. Exactly what you were doing before. You've got an object with larger width and or with a larger weight. You're going wide. Can you feel your glutes at moments? And you are twisting. Okay, here we go, right? Discus, oh boy, I gotta go up with it. I got a handle on one side and I don't have a one on the other, okay? That's okay, because you know what this mimics? Remember when we were holding the band, we were anchoring up ahead? It's exactly what it is. It's like, man, I gotta have one arm be a really big anchor as I bring that object up. And just always stabilize. Excellent, opposite side. I'm switching anchors. I don't have the strap down here. I've got to be really, really steady. My arm has got to be an anchor there as I lift this up. Using my glutes, it's gonna be a final stabilization. If I squeeze my butt, my core is gonna then be in the center, and then my arms are as well, because they don't have to do as much work. I won't come from the wrong place, like the center of my back, to try and get this object up. Oh, come on, one more time. I got your suitcase, Susie. I'll throw it up there. Excellent. Nice full body workout. Come back into the chair. We're going to go back to our 3 travelers exercises and seeing how you feel. Feel a little bit of deep inflection. You feel a little stronger. You feel a little bit more centered. You just spent 50, 55 minutes really letting the body take precedent over everything. It's funny how the mind falls into place with that and likes that a lot. And of course your essence does as well, your true self. So knee up to the chest. Nerve flossing. And then into the figure 4. And then into our neck exercises, right? Did exercise do us good? Did it relax us, make us feel more centered like it's supposed to? So let's turn side to side. Let's do a little test in terms of flexion. When you sort of think about where you were before, it's hard to put your finger on what it is, but can you say, yes, there's been a shift? Okay, ears to shoulder. So same ear to same shoulder. And switch opposite side. Let's go other side. I want to add a couple more twisting moves towards the end here that we'll get through our 3 travelers. Lumbar feeling good, knee a little bit higher. Extend out, perturbation, a little shaking, that's normal. Nerve flossing. And then figure 4. And just some more various neck exercises. So we'll look up and we'll look down. Dropping the jaw. So let's do a Tai Chi auricular massage and then a optical stretch for the eyes. Tai Chi. Bring the arm over and just grab the ear. Look how perfect that works for a little massage. One way to calm the vagal toning is through the ear. One of the nerves comes all the way up here. When we get upset, the inner ear can shut off sometimes because our fight flight is so frenzied that we can't hear. I know sometimes I can't hear when I'm upset. Someone speaking to me, I just can't hear them. Other side. So this ancient Tai Chi auricular massage practice, they were onto something 8,000 years ago that we might have are missing. And then a nice eyeball stretch for the optic nerves. Again, it's part of the 12 cranial nerves, the rest to digest. Let's make sure the eyeballs functioning, working order. Look forward and then stretch them to one side without turning the head. You can blink, it's okay. And then I want you to go really easy when you come back so you don't feel dizzy or disoriented. And then opposite side. And ease back to center. Wonderful. Okay, we're almost there. So you can come forward and back if you're like, I need to stay in the symmetrical even plane. Or you can do a crossover with me. Come forward and just naturally put that arm there and see how it can, just a natural little twist and turn to the back as you press into that knee. And then come up. And again, you can do another coming forward and back, nice easy stretch, even better if you're wider. You just want to get to the back a little bit more here on some of the shoulders, crossing over. Okay, excellent job. So watch more videos, do more exercise. Thank you for watching.